Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here, Andrea.
Thanks
Hi,
for having
Lillian.
me.
So I'm totally stoked about this topic, big time. We hear the word, it's one of those overused words, manifesting, manifester, manifestation. And I think it's really misunderstood. Would you agree, Andrea?
Yeah, well, I think it's modernized. Like we think of it as like I manifested this, I manifested that, like colloquially, like I made such and such happen. If we look at it kind of from a more ancient perspective, where astrology was actually the study of a thing manifesting, which is literally what has incarnated and is growing here. I think that's has a little bit more of a serious tone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I first learned astrology, like you only ever heard that word in relation to Jupiter. Jupiter was the manifestor in the chart.
Mm.
And over time, you realize that the whole chart is a story that is talking about how people manifest their lives, right? Would you
Mhm.
say that's true?
Absolutely. Well, okay, so let's look at the now, and I guess I'll err on the side of talking more because when I have guests on and they talk a lot, then it's easier for me as those. But but you interrupt me if I'm
We
talking a
have
lot.
questions. We'll have
Okay,
questions.
okay. But okay, so really, what I study I read a lot of ancient Greek books about astrology, and they kept talking about this thing. They would say, look at the telos that is growing here. Look at the telos that is growing here. And I was like, what is a telos? I was trying to translate these books, but I didn't quite understand them. And so then I went to this history of science convention and I went to this talk on teleology. And then they were talking all about the telos, which is a thing manifesting into itself. So teleology is the study of things manifesting into themselves. So if we look at astrology, it was actually the ancient study of teleology. And it's actually mega manifestation, like the Tetrabiblos, one of our most renowned ancient texts on astrology, was actually called apotelosmatica, which means all things about a telos manifesting full on. So the idea with astrology was you were supposed to study your chart to see what is manifesting here, what is your telos is the word for it, and then take that to the nth degree. So they would even say that you're supposed to mirror your intelligent mind to your heart mind, which is you get strategic about what you're going to feel like doing. If you might say, my sun in Sagittarius feels like adventuring, so I'm going to start planning for when I feel like adventuring. And then they get into like the mega manifestation of a being through that kind of process. And so yeah, it's astrology is manifestation theory, literally. It's not the same as the modern manifestation theory that says like whatever you vision you can have. We would say
Right.
that a chart can be any chart can be excellent at something for which it is sent visions and then can go about visioning about that thing. But it's kind of like you're supposed to study what is manifesting naturally and then take that and really manifest that to a level.
I love that. And I think, one of the finer distinctions is you're not talking about manifest destiny, right? The implication that if you desire it, you should be able to make it happen and you should get support for that. I've been thinking about desire or the things that drive me to manifest. And when I think about them, I think about the desire almost as a diagnostic rather than something I need to have. You know what I mean? And maybe it's because like I'm old enough that I've had enough pizza to, have great memories about pizza for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So I'm not greedy for it and it's not new. I love that distinction that it is the expression that we are manifesting versus I'm going to get 10 more cups of coffee while we're here. And that's really important. And that's me manifesting. You know what I mean? I appreciate that.
Well, okay, so interesting they call it a diagnostic, like a vision. Okay, so in the Greek realm, there was something called the fantasia realm, from
Mm,
which we get fantasy. Okay, here how fantasia sounds a little bit more erudite and respectable. And then we're
yes.
like, but that's a mere fantasy. Okay, but the fantasia realm was this vision realm where we either send visions out, receive visions. It's like this visioning realm. And that's why
Wow.
we call it a mere fantasy, is it only exists in the vision realm, right? Well,
Mm,
so a fantasia was said to be sent to us about our chart, and that's why you call it a diagnostic, right? Is like
Yeah.
a dream is a fantasia, you know, and the
Yeah.
Greeks would be like, I have hearkened a fantasia about my life path and purpose, you know, whereas we say like, I had this fantasy that I had a great job on Wall Street, you know. It's like they didn't say it like that. They would say like, the vision has showed me what I am
Oh,
here to
beautiful.
manifest,
Yeah.
right? I think that's that version of what you're talking about, is like the vision shows us and helps us understand what to
And that
manifest.
reminds me of Robert Moss, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned him before. He does stuff about dream work, but he says, you know, we in our dreams we can fly and we can communicate and we can be with each other. And he recommends it, you know, as a typical, I'm going to say this kind of snarkily, a typical Westerner, where he says, you can use it to take a 2-week vacation overnight, which is like the dumbest, most like American orientation I can figure. But I love the idea, because he says, your dreams, your visions are your best friends, and they're coming to tell you good stuff. And if they're coming to tell you good stuff and you're like, I don't remember my dreams, or I'm not going to write them down, or I'm not going to do anything, then you don't get that complex and rich language that starts to evolve in your dreams. Like, I will be clear, I don't remember the details of my dreams lately, but there's a lot of work going on ever since that Mars went by that Virgo and just has been slip sliding around. It's, you know, juicing up all of the engine stuff. So it's just a lot of coffee and, you know, productive busyness in my dreams. So it reminds me of Robert Moss, but then I wonder, right? Like, if you cracked it open, is he dealing with Talos? And he's just kind of heartened onto that. What do you call it? Fantasia? Because that might be my drag name from now on. Fantasia.
Well, I think you know, the dreams and the fantasias are a way to the telos.
Right.
In fact, they would say that the daimon, which is our kind of oversoul or our inner genius, is sending us fantasias. They actually say that the visions are set in the seed of a baby. So, you know, how do we know what's growing here? It's from visions. They went in Ensoulment, the book on how the soul gets in the body, which I have
Yeah.
around here somewhere. They
Such a
talk
good
about
book.
yeah, okay. In Ensoulment, they talk about how a baby must vision crawling before it crawls, and a baby must vision walking before it walks. And so the visions are sent to the baby, like, now you're going to crawl around, and then the baby starts doing this crawling thing, right? But it's the same with humans. If you're going to become a carpenter, you have to envision yourself being a carpenter before you go along the path to do that. So the visions always are sent to us. But if we hearken those visions and then follow them, then our telos emerges, like the manifested thing starts to appear.
Yeah.
I do think we can go about from the modern sense, like mega man. That's why I put myself as a mega manifesting astrologer. Is we can go about mega manifesting our telos, right? So, like, you know, how many times do gardeners say, you know, because they would compare people to plants constantly in Ensoulment.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, how often do gardeners say, you know, I'm gonna grow a garden that's kind of half mass, and like all the vegetables were just kind of like half fertilized, and I'm gonna water it like just some of the time. Like, gardeners never set out to.
No one does
No
that.
one does that. But that kind of happens sometimes to gardens because people like leave them. But the humans are constantly just kind of manifesting themselves half-mass. They're eating junk food all day, and not that I judge anyone, but even if you know, do like beer, weed, and cigarettes or whatever instead of eating
Yeah.
food, or like there's a lot of ways to like half manifest yourself. It could be that you have dreams and you just started like, well, I'm going to sit here on the couch and watch TV instead and look at everyone else's dreams. Like, the point is, there's a lot of ways where we can half manifest our telos. But now a mega manifestation would be something like, I get a vision, I'm supposed to be a carpenter, then I hearken that vision, I start sending out visions of my own that I'm the best carpenter ever, you know, like, and then you start like,
Yeah.
I am a carpenter already. I remember
Yeah.
when I was a carpenter, and you start doing these manifestation things around
Yeah.
it, then you can start fully expressing the carpenter in you. And so I think that's more of the modern version of manifestation, is these kind of like follow your dreams, or how to follow your dreams and really make that happen. And I think that is mega manifestation. Hearken vision, now send out visions about the vision and things like that.
I love that.
I do too.
Tracy, do you do any of this, Tracy?
I have so many questions right now, because we've talked before about when we were talking about remediation. We were talking about how if people like think themselves as sick, then you're continuing not, right? If you think
Your
yourself,
voice is there,
my
you're
voice
back.
is,
Your microphone was a little cloudy.
oh, okay. How is it now?
Much, much better.
Oh, okay, good. But yeah, so this idea that, as you're saying, like if we think about the good things, we can also be thinking about things that aren't necessarily so great for us. And so, when you're talking, say you're trying to talk to somebody about them maybe manifesting that half story that you're saying, how do you help them change or kind of see it for what it is, take responsibility? I don't know. I don't know how to phrase it, but
Yeah.
what I'm asking.
There's in this book, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting, which is a manifestation book. She
Wow.
actually gives you a formula for this. So if you start envisioning, if you start getting visions of things that like, I'm sick, I'm going to have a heart attack, I'm going to have a heart attack. What she says is you want to do a flip switch. I can't remember what she calls it, but you actually want to have a manifestation vision ready. For mine, it was bead bonanza because, I'm always like making beads and trying to make chart beads and stuff.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, if I start tripping out on some thought I don't like, I'm going to flip switch over to bead bonanza. And like you basically you actually prescribe, and you can choose something different every month or whatever, but something that you are manifesting that is catchy. That's where we get into memetics, which are contagious thought forms of you want to contain, like bead bonanza is contagious. Like it's alliterative.
Totally.
It makes a vision of beads everywhere. Like, so every time I trip on something negative, and like for me, it might be like, oh, that person who's mad at me right now hates my Facebook page. I think I talk too much. Like for me, it's a lot of that stuff of like, I talk too much, this and that, but I have to talk a lot because there's like content pushing out through my page all the day.
Right.
But like it's like self-hating thoughts that I fight with. And then I'm like, bead bonanza though. What about that bead bonanza? Like, and so it's like you're literally supposed to flip switch and have something ready so that you can waylay that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
Is that kind of what you were
I
asking?
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like, I know I did a lot of work with this around because of my RA. The amount of time I would tell myself that I was weak or that I couldn't do something, or, and it's like, it's shocking when you start actually paying attention to those thought patterns, how really invasive they can be and prevalent. So I love that idea where you can actually just come up, find something that you can quickly flip that off. I did not find something quick, but I was able to catch it often enough that I changed a lot of the dynamics, and it changed my health massively.
It's interesting. Someone in my life, I won't say who, but she's someone that I love very much. And there's someone in her life who's a little abusive, and he called her entitled and lazy and all this stuff, which she's not. She's actually like extremely hardworking. And so I'm having to fight that insidious, contagious thought that he implanted in her mind. Like literally I'm at 100 times. Like I'm just like now I have a lazy Susan in my kitchen. I'm like, oh, do you want to the plates over on the entitled Susan? Like I'm just making all these jokes about it. Like, but I'm having to basically kill the thought with humor, like over and over again, because the negativized thoughts especially are very contagious, and in memetics we're dealing with contagious thought forms. Viruses are very contagious. I remember when COVID was going around, I was like, oh, you guys are killing me with your contagious idea of COVID. And so then I remember there's this like magic card. It was like some disgusting bug, and I was just like, here, look at this. Like I was trying to give a contagious thought form
COVID card.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, you guys are so contagious with your idea of illness. Like, so it a lot of problematic ideas are extremely contagious because there's a problem to solve about it. Like, do I get vaccinated? Do I not? Is it real? Is it? Am I going to someone going to me? Like, and it's like I had to fight the contagious COVID idea, a million times. But like, so I think we have to be careful of negative thoughts that are problematic because they are the most contagious. Okay, so
I agree 1,000,000%. And I often have fallen in the past into that. And I do write about COVID a lot, but I will tell you what I think about it from. I feel like the environment is shifting like Dune, like when the folks went to Dune. And if you don't put on a still suit and get those oxygen guys up in your nostrils, that's it. And my my goal is to figure it out, but it comes more from a, I graduated in 1984. That was 3 years after they found out about AIDS. I moved to San Francisco. Our group house had a bowl full of condoms. I had to change who I was hanging out with so that they would wear them because I wanted that. I saw people dying, so I wanted to stay alive. And so it's like a little echo of that, and then much more about like, wow, our environment is just grabbing us by the short and curlies and wiggling us around.
Well, that was the same transit that HIV came out. I think HIV was the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Libra, and COVID was the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn. It was absolutely an HIV-style contagious, fear state of humanity. And the masks came, which is like the face condom,
Oh,
essentially.
but I love them. I love them. I
Okay.
love them, right?
Okay.
Not because of those masks, but because if there's ever an opportunity to put a mask on, I want to put a mask on, and I want to make it fun and all the other kinds of things. But I will share this that I thought was super cool. They found out that this guy who survived HIV in the late 2000s had the same resistance to HIV and the Spanish flu. And there was just this through line. And for me, disease, I get what you're saying about fear, but it's all like, we're grapes out here. Like, it is phenomenal that we get to do the kind of stuff that we get to do. And it's because we are all secretly cooperating in all these ways, or obviously cooperating, but it's taking everything we have, right, to be here. And so to me, that is part of the, you could also get blown off that easily. You know what I mean? And it hardly matters what the story is when it's
it's true. I was raised as a Christian Scientist, though, and we believe in healing the body through the spirit, which is visions, essentially. And it's interesting. So my dad gave me permission to talk about his life, so I am going to talk about my dad for a second. He just lost use of his legs for a second, and when I looked in the chart, Saturn in Pisces has backed up to hit a T-square in him, and so all of a sudden his feet are cold and he has no use of his legs. All of a sudden, it's just literally the transit, right? And so the way I said about contagiously healing him was first I said to him, I said, oh, you're in, it's in your chart, to have this leg issue till January. I was like, sometimes 40-year-olds get this too. I was like, I dealt with a 40-year-old who couldn't jog in her marathon with this similar thing, and so basically I made him vision that it could have been, it's not his age, he's not dying. I was like, oh, we're just going till February, we're not dying, we're just going to. So number one. Then he's a hockey player. Then I sent him a bunch of images of hockey players with no legs, like the hockey players who are the ones who have like one leg or are paraplegics or whatever.
Yeah.
And they go around. I showed it him. I was like, oh, look, this is you right now. You're this fierce. You just don't have any legs right now.
Yeah.
Until January, right? Yeah. But the reason that heals him is it shows a fierce beating heart, and he's still a hockey player. He has a Mars and Sag opposed to the Moon square Jupiter. He's like, oh, I was like, this is you right now, right? And so see how I didn't look at him like, oh no, are you dying, Dad? Are you dying? Oh no, like that is a killer thought, right? But it's just like, check you out playing hockey with no legs. Let's go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about where we switch the vision into one that is not killing you. It is tricky. I mean, you're right. A virus can take you out, but so can a thought. I mean,
and you are right. I absolutely agree with you. Viktor Frankl, the guy who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, he's this psychiatrist guy or psychologist. He was writing his book. World War II happened. His whole family went into the camps. But America was like, you're so smart. Come over, do the thing over here. And he decided, no, I'll go into the camps. And he wrote a whole different book while he was there. And he was like, even in places where there are efforts to behave in ugly ways, there are ways to retain humanity and sustain that vision. And it requires that vision. He would talk about people who even picked like the kind of the wrong vision. Like they'd say, I'm going to be saved on August 14th. And then by August 17th, they were dead because their vision didn't come true, right? So I love like connecting the sense, and tell me what you think of the telos, like this inevitable natural thing that's happening no matter if we talk about it or not. And then that positive energy that becomes that thing that we can cooperate with and build cool stuff with and enjoy with. And then both of them are kind of working together. But just like you said, you can also take it the other way and create a hell on earth if you want, because it's just that easy.
Well, so you're making me think
The
of,
thoughts.
okay, let's take it to the plants for a second. Okay, is it better to have a really robust, fertilized, watered plant that then gets chopped down one day?
Whew.
Or is it better to have a half-grown, non-fertilized, non-watered plant that lives on and on?
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not sure.
that's why I think it's better to vision that you're going to get saved and then you get taken out. Like, it's like, I want my dad to be robust and strong until the day he keels over.
Absolutely.
And that is mega manifestation, right?
Yeah.
It's like he might still have papers to write. He might still have telescopes to build. I don't know. He might just still want to love his daughter. I don't know. But it's better to do that than to scare. This is where thoughts are scary and they are contagious. Is like, I'm going to die of COVID. I'm going to die of COVID. I better not leave my house. I better not do anything. It's like this is killing me already. Like, I can't leave my house. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
going to
live like that. Yeah.
So then you're like a half-mast plant that isn't really even producing fruit, and it's kind of a waste.
So interesting. So because I agree with you. I also like what do you think about the difference between being genuinely positive and genuinely in connection with your grounded self and all of the juiciness that's there versus spiritual bypassing where people aren't really paying attention and there isn't that quality, but because they're so positive, there's a sense that there's something going on that isn't. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, I love that you brought up spiritual bypass. We fight this all the time. We have a Course in Miracles group on Sunday, and there's in the Course in Miracles, there's a lot of spiritual bypass, which for viewers, what that is when you go to spiritual realms and you forsake practical awareness and you basically lose because of that. Like, for example, here's one. Forgiveness. Okay, so let's say somebody keeps boundary pushing you, like they keep showing up late on you, and that's one of your pet peeves. Okay, so showing up late, and spiritual bypass would say, forgiveness, always forgive, always forgive. Well, you're getting messed with basically,
Right.
and it's causing like needles in the spirit. So that's actually kind of killing you, and then you're forgiving, and that's actually kind of a spirit kill. So what we've learned to do in our group is boundaries, then forgiveness. Like, but we are always practical, and then we go spiritual. Like, for example, with medical stuff. Like, am I telling my dad, come on, vision yourself, don't go to the doctor? I'm like, let's go to the doctor, let's get all the tests, let's see what the machines say. Here's some pictures of you ice skating with no legs. Like, we do it all, right? We don't ever do spiritual bypass. But I like I would wear the mask with COVID. I wouldn't, go, I would do all the things practically and also do the now that would be mega manifestation.
Yeah. So I want to share a story with you from a long time ago because it sounds like what you're talking, and it involves a friend of mine who's quite lovely. It was while we were in art school, and she built motorcycles, rode horses, real badass character, right? And her horse fell on top of her. And so literally half of her face was like black and blue and, just kind of busted up. And I came over and was hanging out with her. And she said, I'm fine until I see myself in the mirror. And I was like, yeah, well, let's fix that. And so we covered all the mirrors and went through her photos and found like the best pictures of her that she loved. And we put them up. And then I was like, you're going to forget about this. So let's take some pictures now of this thing you went through with your horse, and the horse is fine too now, after all that time. And that was funny because she slid the packet of pictures under my door at the studio. And I opened them up and it looked like somebody had just beaten the crap out of her. And she called it her domestic violence series. And I was like, don't do that. But it was really remarkable the difference that it made to walk up to a picture, even with the mirror covered. And then there she is, right? The one we know that's there, that is.
That's brilliant.
Move through that. Good. Okay, good.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of how Christian Science works. Is you always feed back a picture of health, and then that is what they go for, basically.
Yeah, I like that. So what if manifestation takes for fucking ever, for example?
Well, it
What if
does.
it's the slowest process in your toolbox? God damn it.
I know. Well, it takes a whole life, honestly. Well, I was
Right?
talking to Dimitri George, and I was like, "Do you think that Hellenistic astrologers are missing teleology?" And she's like, "Absolutely." In the back of my Hellenistic astrology book, I quote Jesus as saying, "I have fulfilled my telos, and now I can die." Like teleology is all over the Bible too. And the thing is, you really don't fulfill your telos until the
Right.
moment you expire, because that would be the moment at which you have manifested your thing, right?
Yeah.
But I do hear what you're saying. Like manifestation does take a long time. Sometimes it's like that's why we for example at the Moyer Press we always let God or the universe be in charge of numbers. Like for example, let's say
Right.
we want a robust classroom, so we won't say things like I don't want an empty classroom, because then all of a sudden all we see is an empty classroom. That's like bad manifestation. So you say I love my full and robust classroom. I love my
Yeah.
full and robust classroom. Like so that's the visioning that we do to manifest. Well, how long it actually takes to get a full and robust classroom is up to the universe and up to God. I mean, we
Right.
do things every day to make
Right.
that happen, but we can't. In manifestation, there are things we cannot control, and that's where we need serenity. If, like, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot control,
Right.
control the things I can, and then the wisdom, no difference. It's like numbers too. It's like how many views are we going to get on this video? That's up to the universe and up to God.
Yeah.
We don't know, right?
Yeah, we don't know.
But we are manifesting this video by showing up and doing the thing, and and so that's kind of what we do, and then a lot of times, yeah, a lot of times the thing doesn't start manifesting for like 2 or 3 years, or it doesn't manifest how we thought. Like, do I get paid for my beads? I still don't. Like, I have a bead bonanza, but like I buy all those beads, right?
Yeah.
Well, does that mean that my manifestation has failed? I mean, I don't know. But I know
No.
it's better than thinking about other things. I don't know.
I love an
But
abundance story. There's a Louisa Tiche story, and then I'll hand over the floor. She talked about how she was taking the bus home and started praying for, beans and rice, like in quantity and like as much as she would need over time. The next thing you know, the person who had shopped and had beans and rice in their bag, it exploded over her head and kind of fell down. And she was like, I'm going to be more specific next time. I want a well-resourced kitchen.
well, and sometimes I think that people don't know what they want, right? Like, so the beans and rice story is an excellent example of what she wanted was her belly full. But you know what I mean? But instead she
Yeah.
said beans and rice. And so it's like
Yeah.
often I'm talking to people about, but why do you want the thing? Because if you concentrate on the why
Yeah.
and the what you want out of it, and then don't put any pressure on what comes to you, as long as it's fulfilling the thing that you're trying to fulfill. Does that make sense? Did that?
Yeah, we do a lot of like carving, especially when there's a Saturn Neptune conjunction like there is right now. To me, instead of being disillusioned in our visions, which a lot of people would delineate that as such, what we do is recarve visions. So it's like
Yes.
if you say, like I want a full and robust classroom. Well, maybe that. Or here's one. Okay, we were trying to manifest more book sales or something like that. And so I thought about like, well, maybe I should say I'm going to sell 1,000 books by this date or whatever. And then I thought, if I put a number on it, then there's the opportunity to fail, which then defeats me and and makes my soul drag on that vision. And so then we didn't like that vision, and we did all this carving of the vision. And we were like, I know
Yes.
books are flying off the shelf is what we
Yeah.
decided on. Books were
Oh,
flying off the shelf.
beautiful. Beautiful.
And the reason is then every time I sell a book, I'm like, see, there you go, books are flying off the shelf, and it's like it makes a vision of books just flying out.
Yeah.
It's a contagious vision. So that was an example where we carved out that vision, and then the next month I sold 87 copies of Remediation. Like that was crazy. Okay, but I'm saying that, and that was just because of a Kepler talk I did. It was it was actually I did the real things to do it, but see how there we didn't get discouraged if if a vision makes you feel bad in any way, it needs to be recarved.
Oh,
There
yeah.
needs to be something about how you phrase it so that your heart chakra opens every time you think it, and then that is a correct vision, essentially.
So interesting. So interesting.
I love that.
So I was, oh, go ahead.
Nope.
All right. I'll say it this way. So I love that, because I love going through the day, as if it's another lifetime, right? It's like so mysterious, even the stuff I know about. And when I get angry, it's so befuddling, right? Because it's always something that's just about me, even if it's about someone else, because it can't be about someone else, kind of thing. And so I was talking to Tracy. I think I said something like I had to sign into some dumb website 14 times or something before I could do this thing for our show. And then this thing happened. So I got up and walked away, and that didn't get done. And there's an arc to that, right? Because that's probably not going to happen again. Probably going to take it slower, right? And like do one little video or something like that. So there's something about that, where I am giving not suffocating a negative thought, but it always goes, okay, we're not doing that now. Go ahead and get lost, because we're going to do da 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 da. It really depends. Like, it has to be a, narcissistic or malicious thought. And then I'm like, wow, we're not doing that. And then I usually go, because I am alone a lot, I go, you're by yourself here. Who are you fighting? Who is it? You know what I mean? Just to feel it. And if I even let that happen, then the positivity comes back in droves. But I do have what you're talking. I'll go out and feed the fish, or go out and look at the squirrels, or I'll go for a walk or something where the reality, the splendor of reality is undeniable. And so it helps me kind of realign with the stuff that I like, the stuff that I want to do.
Yeah, I think in some parts manifestation comes down to mind control. I mean, it's just like having control of your body. It's like having control of the where your mind is going. I started this with critiques. Like I used to. So I was married to a bombastic Sun Mars conjunction Leo who had 4 planets in Virgo. So I got bombastically critiqued for 14 years. And like basically what I learned to do at some point with because every critique I would take seriously, and I'd have to roll it around for like weeks. Like, am I that? Am I this? Am I that? Am I this?
Oh.
And so basically it's like that. And then I started to realize, like, okay, if someone says you live on camera, you're a narcissist. Well, I'm like, well, I'm actually living on camera because my target market is advanced astrologers and live all over.
Exactly.
But that hit me like, am I a narcissist? Then I have to like, am I whatever? And there was a point where I learned to just critique back. Like, I never thought of this. So I was like, oh, are we doing critiques? Let's go. Okay. So I would get a critique and I'm like, well, what I think of you is, but I just never considered critiquing. Like, I don't have any Virgo in my chart. I never considered critiquing somebody. Like, so it was like this thing of like, it's what we started to call, it was something where you don't let it into your mind, but you just say because okay, let's say someone says you're too talkative,
right?
Well, you could also change that to like you're a great talker, or you're a great conversationalist. Someone says you're too humble. Well, that's not a good one. Anytime someone critiques you, you can actually reframe it to something positive. Like,
I agree.
You're a narcissist. You're a great showman. You're this. You're like, you can reframe every critique into like something good. So that's a big one, is not letting critique thoughts sink in very far and not giving them a bunch of real estate in your mind. So like, I feel like that's what you're speaking to, is like a negative thought will start like doing its thing,
trying to dig out some room.
Yeah, and it's a mind control thing of just like, yeah, no, I'm always like, yeah, no thanks on that thought. Like, no thanks. Like, that's kind of where I've gotten to.
Yeah, and I've seen stuff, I used to see stuff in the 80s and 90s about neuro-linguistic programming, and I was super suspicious of it, right? But I also feel this, that we talk to ourselves, and that our younger self, you say, I don't want, it hears no, right? Like you were saying before. If you say, I want no problems, it just hears, I just don't want anything, and so I appreciate that. And then the other piece about like being guided by sounds, like I got really mad the other day and it was making me laugh because it's not funny, but it made me laugh because it was after I was physically vulnerable and I felt really vulnerable. And I woke up and there's one person that just boils my bacon when I'm in that space. And I was like, so who is that in me that is riling me or is so threatened that they have this energy come up, right? When I'm coming back into the world kind of thing. And it's interesting, but I love that because I do appreciate that less real estate for crappy stuff is helpful. So much Virgo. So I have to filter it versus choose less. You know what I mean? It shows up whether I like it or not. Kind of in a Piscean way, but with those Klieg lights on, looking for errors.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like you and Tracy are starting to get like more like ubiquitously all over the internet. And I was reading this thing about influencers, and that's because of what you guys are becoming. And it was saying one of the hazards of the job is being critiqued. And like, so it's like every time someone gets mad at you, they'll watch your page with a critiquing eye. And like, I can psychically feel people critiquing me. I swear to God. And I'm just like, oh, so-and-so is mad at me right now. And like everything I do is annoying to them. Right. But it's just, it is like a job hazard. It would be just like, cutting off your finger in a sawmill or something,
Well, even when I went to college, I went to art school. And so we had critiques of our work. And it was funny because, just like I love clowns and I think all of the crazy things in the world are perfectly normal. And where's your prosthetic nose? I also got the message early on that you're going to miss those critiques. You're going to miss the peers that are also striving to make quality stuff. And I think that that's the difference that makes the difference is when you're hanging out with folks who are doing like stuff, it's a blessing to get a critique, and it's not. And also I'll say this, when I worked at Microsoft, the whole principle sounded just like your production meetings. You would bring in an idea or presentation, and then everyone would kind of take it apart, to see if strong here or weak here. And then what would happen is the group all together or several people would come up with the final idea, and it'd be really cool and much, much better. And it made me less sensitive to critiques. And that doesn't mean I'm always not sensitive to critiques, but I also like one more is Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling said that, she knew she was ready to put out her material when she was ready for critique on the material, and that she expected that as part of her work. So I expect that as part of our work. I don't want the freaky shit, but I'll take the critique.
There's something we said there is like, okay, you got to let people get their vision out. Like, so let's say I say bead banana and somebody interrupts it with a critique and they're like, that's stupid to want beads. That's so stupid to do something with your life. That actually interrupted something that I actually want. Like, I'm like, I want a bead bonanza and you just interrupted my vision, which feels awful. But if I've gotten my whole vision out for the bead bonanza and now we can all together carve the vision together, that's very different. So it's like, are you letting somebody interrupt your visioning process, which is detrimental to mega manifestation, or have a fully formed vision and now you're ready for discussion and whittling of it? I think there's some vision control going on here.
I like that. So, yeah. I will say, after I found out I had ADHD, my husband and I, who kind of approach things like we literally have relationship summits. We used to go to a hotel for 3 days and like discuss whether or not our love maps were like up to date and what we want to do in the next couple of years and where we were going, real corporate headed kind of stuff. And, oh gosh, I can't remember the point of that. Oh yeah. So we have, nope, it's gone. It'll come back. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, I do think so they say with visioning in mega manifestation that if one person's manifesting a vision, that's one thing. Let's say it's prayer, like in churches, they say if one person prays for a thing, that's powerful. But if a group prays for a thing, then it gets really powerful. So, we have business meetings every night from 10:30 to 11:30, and what we do is align our vision okay, so I'm like, this is what happened at the Moy Press today, and then Shane comes in and we like get a shared vision. Okay, on this
Yeah.
issue, we're gonna do this. But that's like two of us
Absolutely.
praying or manifesting the Moyer Press, and now it's getting bigger, right? And now there's a team of us. And the thing is anytime you can get someone else aligned with your vision,
Right.
that is helping mega manifesting. You know, anyone is anyone as a team, honestly. Like the fact,
I love that you said that. It's changed my whole life. But here's what I would offer instead. It is of utmost importance that people have those boundaries and don't become enmeshed or project their desires into a separate group of people for them to accomplish their desires. So one must be grounded. And then I think there's a very natural desire to have rapport with people who you enjoy. And then I think it is really natural to produce more stuff, and things get even more and more exciting. And I love that you're saying prayer. Like here, there are immigration folks in town. And so we go to the people who are helping the other people. And the first thing they say is, the people you think they're helping can help themselves. That's why they're not here. The people that you're trying to help are all of us as neighbors, to say, we're here and this is what we want. We're here and this is what we want. And it just kind of took what could be a prickly situation or disrespectful, or, it's ripe for negative feelings, and really turned it around, and you could feel it. And then they started singing and it felt like the 70s, but a good kind of way. And I felt that, right? And then we're getting messages all the time, where are people at? And can you contribute, or can you do stuff? And it really shifts things. And that's one of the things I'm waiting for Pluto and Aquarius. And I think you do it masterfully, because you guys, Moira Press is in my Project 2025 manual, my plan, not anyone else's, because it's so inspiring, and it's about mutual aid, and bringing your best stuff and seeing what excites you, and testing
well,
it.
I think Tracy's onto something when she says that the hardest part of manifestation is knowing what you want. And we actually had to learn that as a crew. We were like, oh, we have to figure out what we want. Like, I don't know what I want. Like, what do I want, right? And so I do think you have to pull up your adult pants and say, I need to want something. And that is the first step.
Yeah, that reminds me completely. So ADHD. So we have a hypothesis that the way we have ADHD, which is sort of to get out of the way, which could be annoying if you're a kid, right? Like, we're going, what are you doing? Why did you go grab a book? Let's go. Created this series of interruptions right at the beginning, such that we didn't know what we would want. But with you saying that too, I think it might just be a natural state. There's a lot of richness to knowing what other people want, and a lot of beauty to it, right? And I know for me, my mom would, if I told her, hey, I would like to, I wanted to be a model when I was a teenager. And she was like, all right, what is the service you'll do? I appreciate you've got cool ideas, but what is the thing that actually will keep you on this level earth? And I really appreciated that, because it reoriented my brain to somewhere where I could think about, what am I doing that's good for people, even while I was full of hormones and fun notions. So anyway, back to the ADHD. Now that we pay attention to it and we document it and do all kinds of stuff, because you forget everything if you don't, it's so clear. We have to give each other a million tries when we're starting something, but we're both so committed that if we just do that, and like you're saying, no pressure, like, who cares? Like, he used to do this thing where he could perfectly say back to me the thing I wanted to hear so well that I would go, oh, no, because I already can think that myself. I want to know where you're at. Like, I would that was what everybody thought, but no, I actually do need to know where you're coming from. And so now we get all of these tries to, like, we're doing our finances together, and we're figuring out what we like, and things are getting done, and things are getting maintained, and that will flow out to the rest of our lives. And it's interesting because it took a long time to figure out what those beginning steps were, for each of us.
Yeah. Well, I know with the 1 minute we have left, one of the things I want to say that was really pivotal to learn was be careful what you want, and want something that's for the greatest good of all concerned. So,
Yes.
it's really good to ask yourself, God or universe or source or spirit, what is your will for my life?
Yes.
And then when you figure out what the universe's will for you is, then go about manifesting that. And I think you'll have a very fruitful situation where you're helping a lot of people, because, just wanting stuff because like I want $1 million. Well, is that really helpful?
That's what I mean. Like, desire is not destiny, right? Manifestation is not destiny. It's what you have to work with. And then everybody gets work for all their lives because they're telosing, right? I mean, I'm sure that's not a word, but and they get an evolution with their community, because biologically we're meant to be together. We're gregarious, so we're meant to multiply that bounty.
We still have 10 minutes. Is that
Yeah.
okay, Andrea? Do you still have 10 minutes, or do you have to go?
Don't you have to go off by 55?
I got a timer, and it's at 45 minutes since we started recording, so we're good.
Yeah, I think
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So I want to go back. You had said, talking about your group and manifesting together for everyone. And I'd had a thought a while back about how whenever companies go public, they lose their soul, it seems, like the vision of whoever started it, because now it becomes about money, and it becomes, often, not always, but it's a board that really isn't connected to anything except for trying to bring in money. And then we have this model where, like the guy in Seattle who sold or gave shares to all of his people in public, and everybody said, "Oh, now you're going to lose all your money and whatever." And they ended up like quadrupling or 10 timesing their income, and the entire staff benefited. Right now, they're all working for a common good. And when can we get that to catch on? Like, how can we convince people that making money can benefit everybody, not just like 5 people should have all the money? How do we work towards that?
That's a good question. I mean, that if that's your cause, I think, telling the world about that concept would be a good start. I think every chart manifests something different, and so in that way we can have abundance framework of like, if we all manifest our charts, no one will starve, because we all I was trying to read that book, Think and Grow Rich, and I was like, oh, wait a second, I don't want to be rich. Think and Grow Rich with friends. I was like, I want 1,000 friends.
Right.
Right. So it's like my chart just doesn't care about amassing money.
Right.
But another chart does, and I think what I'm more into this kind of, it's not communism, but it's like a state where we all kind of have enough money, but we all manifest our own chart, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I hear what you're saying. That's a really good point. Is I think we could start, Tracy, by getting people to manifest what God's will for them is, not necessarily, like, I want $1 million, but it's just like, what is really the greatest good of your life in the chart that you inhabit, and then and go from there.
Right.
Because some people might be here to amass money, but maybe they're supposed to be a philanthropist, and that's why to amass the money. I mean, it's not wrong to amass money.
The radically different Earth schools are astounding in their variety. I mean, even more so than genders, there are different Earth schools. And I'm always outraged because I think my Earth school is the super best. Plus, people can hang out with me here if they like it.
Oh, yeah, the Earth school. Yeah.
So I have one more question before we leave, and it's a big one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So in this whole idea of, thinking and creating our reality. So what about death? Because we're told, from the moment we come out that the end game is death anyways. So what if we stop telling ourselves that? Where does death end up falling in this whole story?
Well, I think death is one of those things that we definitely don't necessarily need to manifest, because it will happen. And it only happens one day of our life. So this is a problem with perseverating on death. is that it happens once, and everything else happens like a lot. You have to get up and find meaning for your day a million times before
Yeah.
you die.
Right.
And so I think it's best to be surprised by our death the moment that it happens, because it's that plant theory of like, we want to grow a robust plant that then all of a sudden dies one day, as opposed to just half-masting it because we're just so worried about dying one day. That's a waste of a life.
Mhm.
And the idea, with Jesus saying, I fulfill my telos and now I can die, is that maybe, according to Solomon as well, we actually incarnate for a purpose, and until we really manifest that purpose, we don't really die. Now, I'm sure an accident can happen, like a lawnmower can go over a garden and accidentally kill some plants. Like, I mean, people get accidentally taken out, I'm sure, maybe. But I think the death thing is so overrated, because it's just like, okay, so, and we practice dying every night. Like, you fall asleep and you are dead to the world for 12 hours or whatever. You're not even conscious of what's going on. Like, we already are dying and then waking up again. So I think really focusing on the waking hours and the time in which sun is hitting your eyes, going down your spine, activating your chakras, putting chi in yourself.
Right.
And then we do what's called the grasping urges. We grasp at things, like I grasp at my crochet needle, and I grasp at whatever it is that I want to manifest throughout this day. And it's like, it's the using of sunlight that is the mega manifestation, thing. One of the things I say in my mega manifestation lecture is never get sick of running chi. Basically, in mega manifestation, we take sunlight and we run that chi into things. Like you guys always see me making stuff, right? And it's like, you're
Yeah.
probably annoyed at the prolificity of my chart, but that was a choice
Love
of
it.
mega manifestation. Like, I ran my chi into making this little guy, and I could have been sitting there worrying about my death, but I was like, there's sunlight hitting my eyes and I am awake, so here I go, right?
Yeah.
And I think the magicalism of death is insane. How can you magically stop being enlivened by the sun? Like, I can't even die. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, like, sun, I just like,
Yeah.
try to not move for 5 minutes. It's like
Right.
actually impossible because all the sunlight. You're just like, I have to twitch. I have to move my hand. I have to, like, it's like, so I think, the creator is the only thing that can die us. Just like being born. It's like, it's as magical as being born. Like, can you birth yourself? I mean, I guess, but the thing is something created us, and something will die us, and
Yeah.
in between there and there, it's our job to use this sunlight and this chi for whatever God has willed us.
Absolutely.
Love it.
In the Wu way, I would say everything is filled with eminence and value, and it may not be your on your path. It may be parallel to your path, and you think it's on your path, and then it sort of shoots. And then, it's so interesting because I've been decluttering, and then I started to look at feng shui, right, and a bagua, and it was so nice to feel like that. Since I had cleaned these rooms, and it doesn't have to be cleaning. I think when you love your room or you put good energy into a space, it makes a huge difference. But it was so nice to feel like, oh my God, that room has a lot of chi, and we've been in all the rooms. Oh my God, it's humming now, and like you say, when you manifest, a whole nother level of existence that you wouldn't have seen coming. And that's what I find so exciting about the mega manifestation stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like living life to the fullest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I think getting out of your own way, right? Lots of people getting in their own way.
What are those like limiting beliefs that limit us? Is like, I might die tomorrow, or like, there's tons of limiting beliefs, but that's one of the things manifestors work against, is like all those things that stop us, and like try to swim through those.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you both for having me on here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for coming back.
This is fairly appropriate for a Gemini full moon, Sag sun. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this is going up tomorrow.
Nice.
Tomorrow. All right.
Well,
thank you so much, Andrea. And will you come back again sometime?
If you don't think I'm annoying, I'll come back.
Never. Oh my gosh.
Ever. That has not happened here.
Is there
anything not going to happen?
I try to be mega annoying if I'm going to be annoying.
You can keep going. Yeah, you can work on it. We'll tell you when you get there.
All right. Well, I'll have to have you all back too.
Is
Yeah,
there anything you want to plug before we go off air?
Well, I will say, if you want more of this in your monitor, find me on YouTube at Andrea Gehrz or Facebook. We have a very busy Facebook community, and it's very fun over there. So it's just my name, Andrea Gehrz. I also do a talk on mega manifestation for astrologers. If you would like me to come to your group, I'm happy to do that, and it get real extensive with a step-by-step list of how to go about manifesting your chart to the nth degree.
Excellent. Well, thanks,
All right.
ladies, and we'll see you
Thank
soon.
Yeah, thanks. See you later.
Sweet.